What is up, guys? So I got to sitting back, and I've been watching the Trimmers movies. If you don't know what Trimmers are, you might know them as Graboids, Ass Blasters, Shriekers, things like that. But basically what a Graboid is a terrestrial worm-like creature that grows to about 30 feet, around 20 to 30 tons. I think it grows bigger. I think it grows like 40 feet. They've had two new movies come out. It's A Cold Day in Hell, and the other one is Something in Africa. I can't remember. Oh, Bloodlines. Trimmers 5, Bloodlines. And there's Trimmers 6, Cold Day in Hell. And they're already working on 7 and 8. And they're actually talking about making it a TV series with Kevin Bacon. And the TV series with Kevin Bacon just looks like shit. But, basically what a graboid is a terrestrial worm that's, carnivorous. It hunts by vibration, has no eyes. It's got a bunch of scoots on it, which help it go through the dirt really fast. And they feel vibration, only vibration. So I got to thinking about how cool it is that they feed. You know, they hunt their prey under the sand and they explode out and they drag it under. You know, I always thought, like, how cool would that be to have a pet that did that? And that's why I bought a sand boa. Because sand boas kind of do the same thing, except sand boas see, they don't sense vibration a whole lot. I can hear that going on in the car. But, you know, I always thought how cool it would be. Like, if you guys have ever seen the Graboid movies, how cool would it be to, you know, when it's young and small and it doesn't get very big, like maybe a foot, maybe 2 feet long, maybe even a max of 3. How cool would it be to go and, like, when it's young and a baby, take crickets and throw it in there and watch the crickets just drug under, it explodes out and goes back down like a whale. Like, just how cool would that actually be to see? Like, I wish we had a creature similar to it with the same sun and life cycles. I think that would be absolutely epic as long as it was miniaturized and it wasn't a threat. But, you know, the thing is, guys, the world is a small place and it is also a very large place, you know. People say it's a small world after all, but we still know more about our oceans than we do about our Amazon. And we only know, like, I think it's like 8% of our oceans, so it's 8 out of 100. Okay? We're still 91 fucking percent behind. What the hell else is out there? So, I mean, when it comes to the Amazon, you know, people say they see things all the time. I would love to go to the Amazon, even to Asia, and mount an expedition for a couple of months to, you know, hunt down these giant arachnids that they have over there. You know, big enough to drag off dogs, you know, leg span 2 to 3 feet long. I would love to get a permit. I'd love to get a group of people, and I'm talking 20, 30 people deep, you know, just in case shit does happen and they are real. Which, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that they couldn't be real. I mean, there are so many animals out here that we find basically miniature versions of. I mean, think about this, guys. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, horses stood about 2 feet tall. Now they're fucking 7, 8.5 feet tall. Stand up there 10, they kick you and they kill you. You know, I mean, we have freaking hummingbirds, for God's sakes. They're ancestors of freaking pterodactyls. Is that my tattoo? No, okay, I thought. But I mean, it's just there's so many things, and like back then, centipedes used to be like 14 feet long. You know, we had giant arachnids. There's fossil records of tarantulas 3 to 4 feet fucking long. I mean, it's crazy what used to live and what could still potentially be alive today. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was anything that could still be alive like that. You know, even if it is a mutated terrestrial version, but I mean, it would be absolutely amazing to have like a miniature graboid in a tank, watch it explode out of sand or dirt. And but I mean, in my honest opinion, like, I think it would be so amazing if something like that did still exist. You know, giant spiders, if graboids were real but on a miniature scale, like they were only found in one location and you could breed them in captivity. Like, how cool would it be to have that tiny little graboid creature, that little bitty thing in like the fourth movie that made no damn sense. That was supposed to be before the first, yet it was back in Old Western and Burt Gummer was still alive. I was confused, but okay. You know, to have it go from that tiny thing to molting out into a graboid, and then eventually turning into a shrieker, and then into a bunch of shriekers, and then those said shriekers eventually molt into ass blasters, and you put them in a big tank and let them fly around. And, you know, they lay their eggs, and you just, you know, have a screen in the bottom so little graboids could go through. Like, how fucking epic would that be? Like, I mean, I know this is a morning thought. I've had plenty of sleep, and I've been thinking about this for years, but I think that would be so cool, honestly. It just seems so freaking fascinating. Like, you could just, you know, something that reproduces asexually and it does it right in front of you. You know, and the thing is, what I never understood about, you know, ass blasters. not Aspblasters, but Graboids in general, when they molt out of their Shrieker phase, they don't molt out. Okay, that's the thing. Nothing grows inside of itself and then busts out. That's not how this shit works. I don't think I've ever heard of a creature that the way it molts is it grows inside of itself, inside of its meat and where its guts are and everything, and it's still living on the outside, but then explodes out of itself as something completely different. That's two different bodies. That's two different entities. You know, that's like a chest burster. It's not part of the person. It has the person's DNA, but it's not the person. So, like the one where, in like the first movie, it was like the second movie when Shriekers were introduced, you see a Graboid that's been making a lot of noise. Bert and another dude are, no, not Bert, but the other guys are sitting there on a truck, and they're, you know, trying to figure out why this Graboid's making all this noise, and eventually they throw, you know, stuff at it. They drive a little car to it, and it doesn't move. And then a few minutes later, there's a loud noise, like deafening, and they go up there, and the creature's been like hollowed out on the side, like something just came up, ripped it open, and just went to town in just a few minutes. And I mean, inside you see 2 or 3 white sacks, which are empty egg sacks. So I mean, the thing is, what I see whenever it came to that situation in the Graboids movie was not the fact that it was something that had molted, had evolved, had, you know, changed. What it was another stage of life that didn't make sense, because like I said, it was growing inside of the entity, so it was like it gave birth in a small form, and then the Aspblasters were the final stage to the actual egg laying, because that's who laid the eggs. The Aspblasters did. The Graboids guarded the eggs, the Shriekers guarded the eggs, the Aspblasters protected and flew the eggs to where they needed to be until they hatched. And apparently they could be underwater, in caves, everything else like that. What is going on here? What the hell? Look, busted? Fine. Busted? Fine. Oh, it's a protein shake. Sweet. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's so freaking cool to think about how evolution would, you know, do that. Like, I mean, just like I said, how cool would it be to have that little hard-shelled Graboid looking thing, throw it in a tiny tank, and then one day you go and see it's evolved and it's grown, and now it's, you know, from this big to this big, you know, it's adult Graboid stage. Because apparently they just did it. It was like one shot, and it was to the full-size Graboid, which is not possible, by the way. But, you know, movie logic. You know, there had to be 4 or 5, you know, continuous growth molts in between that, or just growth in general. There had to be some sort of shed, though. I mean, even mammals shed. We shed. We lose our skin cells constantly. Every day we're growing and we're changing and we're shedding, basically. So, I mean, and then to see it turn into, like, once, you know, your Graboid's on the surface and it's acting funny. It's making a wee, 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 all kinds of funny noises. And then all of a sudden it goes from Graboid, and the next one you have, like, 2 or 3 Shriekers running around the tank. You feed them a little bit of something, and, well, 2 becomes 10. Well, 3 becomes 9, and 9 becomes 18. And you stop feeding them, and then they eventually go from that to grabbing onto the walls, molting out like a cicada, or cicada, whatever you want to really call them. I've never really learned which one's proper. Everybody uses their own depending on where you're from. And, you know, from there to Aspblasters, you know. And at that point, when you see the Shriekers, I mean, you could have a tank built for Graboids, have a tank built for Shriekers, and then have a tank built for Aspblasters. And even the little juvenile ones, which would make sense, because I really wouldn't think leaving them all together would be a great idea, because, I mean, I've seen them go cannibalistic in the movies. I've watched, you know, Graboids eat Shriekers. They don't know the difference, because they're not able to distinguish the vibrations. They can communicate underground when they're Graboids, but when they become Shriekers and Aspblasters, that's a whole nother scenario. But I mean, let me know in the comments what you guys think, how epic that would be if you've ever seen the Graboid trilogies and the franchises and the movies, regardless of the new ones being absolute shit. You know, let me know what you think about the first 4, because I thought they were pretty good, definitely good CGI. There actually was very little, in fact, almost none. 99% of it was puppets, animatronics, miniature versions, things like that. But they still did it really great. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, how epic it would be to, you know, someday have genetically mutate or create these things on a small genetic scale. Like, how cool would that be? Like, someone out there who's a backyard scientist and you know shit and you can make stuff, let me know. I'll pay you whatever you want for one of those things. I mean, it wouldn't have the same life cycle. That'd be the fuck part. But, you know, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think that'd be a cool idea. And I have another video coming up on giant spiders and a couple theories I have about them. People have been asking me for weird things, so I'm just going to start making weird videos. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to let you guys go. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about having a miniature Graboid and how dope that would be. And, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Later.